In Fallout New Vegas, Honest Hearts features one of the most devastating and beautiful stories in the entire series. Randall Dean Clark was a former U.S. Army soldier who took refuge in Zion following the Great War. In his old life, he fancied himself a survivalist, often running off into the wilderness for days, much to the dismay of his wife and son. An hour away from home as he returned from one of his trips, atomic fire flooded the world. He knew his family was dead and didn't bother trying to find them. Arriving at Zion, he took shelter in the caves and began writing his journal entries. Radioactive fallout blanketed the surface. He was stuck waiting for the worst of it to pass. He laments he wasn't there with his family when the bombs fell. Over the first few years, Clark mastered the flora and fauna of the lands beyond his caves, but he knew eventually it would be time to head home. In 2084, he set off, hoping to find his family and bury them properly, but the warped landscape of craters gave no hope. Everything was scorched clean. Clark turned back and scavenged what he could. He hated himself for not finding his home and dying there, as his family did. His solitude continued for another decade, until a group of people found themselves in Zion. Randall decided to watch over them like a guardian angel, never revealing himself to them. A few months later, another band of refugees entered Zion from Vault 22. They were organized, well-stocked, and in great numbers. The small group that Randall had been watching over had no chance when they decided to strike. From that moment, Clark waged a brutal war of attrition against them. After losing over 80 members to Clark and sickness, the dwellers gave up and left the canyon. Days later, Randall found someone who opened another chapter in his life, Sylvie. She stepped into one of Clark's traps by accident, allowing Randall to find her, where he nursed her back to health. For 3 years, Clark and Sylvie led a happy life, but then terror returned. Sylvie was pregnant. A father again at 47, Clark was scared. He felt he had failed once and couldn't bear to fail again. Although he learned well and put his skills to use, his son was a breech birth. He performed a cesarean section, but it was too late to save him or Sylvie. He buried his family south of the Zion Narrows, taking meager comfort that at least he was with them this time. After that, he gave up, but he couldn't do it. He was, despite himself, a survivor. 10 years later, Clark found renewed purpose. A group of 24 children made their way into Zion. Clark watched them from the shadows. He cared for the children, leaving them notes and presents. He wrote that Zion was their reward, a gift to make up for all the sorrows man has visited upon their lives. He told them to be kind and modest, but to strike with anger against anyone who tried to hurt them. He became the father, a mythical figure caring for them. Clark, not wanting to die in a place where his body could be found by the children, packed his bag and his trusty rifle, and made his way to the Red Gate. He realized that what drove him despite his death wish was his memories. With his family dead, their only life was in his memories of them. In the end, he found comfort in the innocence of the children, who now see him to be the father he never thought he could be.